This next video is going to show you how to attach your clay now that you know some of the techniques to make your project. When you start, I recommend that first you figure out the technique to make your container. Alright, so here's my little pinch pot that I just made. I have extra clay to add on animal parts. I also have my water bowl if my clay gets too dry, and I do have my tools on hand. But the focus of this video is how do we make something and then keep it attached. I want you to remember the 4 S's with attaching clay. So the first S is to score your work. Class, scoring is going to be a process where we take a scratch. I usually use these scratch sticks. Some students use their pencil. You could even use your fingernail in a pinch. And you're going to be drawing lines onto the clay. A lot of times it almost looks like a checkerboard or crisscrossing. And it almost looks like these little pieces of clay kind of just jut outward. That's good. And whatever you make, you want to also score that. So like, let's just say I make a dog, all right? And sometimes if the clay is wet enough, you can just quickly attach some things on, and then you just want to put everything together. So I can even use some of those clay techniques, like a slab or something. All right, so like, let's just say I make an animal really fast, just for demonstration. All right, so there's my animal's head that I'm making, and I want to attach it here. Okay, always double check. If it's too much clay, go ahead and hollow that out. That's a lot of times kids, when they make something that they want to attach, it's too thick. And they go to attach it correctly and then it falls off because it's just too heavy. But our first S is scoring the clay. And I'm going to want to score both parts. I'm going to be scratching and making marks into the clay. Think of it like Velcro. It's going to help it to grip better later on. Our second S is called slip. Slip is kind of a mixture of clay and water. And I usually just have a clay, just a water bowl to help me when I do this next part. I dunk my finger in a bowl of water and I'm touching on top of the part I've just scored. You don't need too much water, just a tiny little touch. The next S is to stick. And I'm going to be pressing both of those pieces together, and you'll see that little bit of water almost makes like the clay muddy a little bit. That's really what slip is about. It's going to help glue and piece those together. Okay, and then the final S is going to be to smooth. So that's where my loop tool is going to come into place. I'm going to be taking that clay, and I'm almost going to be like smashing it downward. And that way it's going to seal up all of those cracks. I am spinning this all the way across, smashing and smoothing that clay down so that it doesn't look like it's all messed up from me just using that clay tool. Oftentimes I tell students at the end of their project, you want to go ahead and look and see if there's any cracks along a part that you've just connected. If there is, it will probably break off later on when it dries. So if you see a crack, like right there, I can kind of see a little bit of a crack, a gap of space. You can either just keep using your loop tool and like smush that down further, or if you feel like you don't have enough clay, I recommend that you use the coil technique. So take a little bit of extra clay that you have, roll it round, almost like you're placing a necklace around a part. And then you're going to take that loop tool and you're going to use that to help push back and forth to help seal up those cracks and to also strengthen. Because a lot of times when you attach clay pieces, one part gets a little bit weaker than another, and that just helps to stabilize it. So once I'm done attaching all of this stuff, I can use the example of like salt and pepper. You can shake your project and it shouldn't fall right off. even do it a couple times, upside down, shake it. And if that head or feature that you just attached falls right off, you know you have problems. Once you have attached features, and by the way, I did not attach those ears correctly. So class, just taking clay and putting on like that, that is not how we attach our clay. Biggest mistake. I know it's sticking right now, but as this dries later on, that ear is just gonna fall right off. So even on small stuff and bigger features, you wanna go ahead and just go score, slip, stick, and smooth everything. It's a little annoying to have to do it all over again, and I'm gonna go ahead and score that. But you really need to do that for everything that you make. It will help you. So, in this video, you have just seen how to attach clay properly so that it's well attached and you won't have problems later on when it dries.